TurboGrafx-16. It may not be your type, but it certainly is our type. Today on.
Don't shmup over the intro.
I literally thought of that in bed last night.
That's a good line. That's much better than I could have ever thought about.
So proud of myself. Guys, welcome back to another Friday with the me and three other wonderful people. It's Press B to Cancel. We're talking retro today. Holy cow, is that 2 retro games back to back, or at least consoles?
Wow.
Because we did a bunch of retro stuff last week. So we're actually back to being retro again because we're still old. We have not gotten any younger. But you know what? I'm not aging by myself. Of course not. I'm aging with these three wonderful gentlemen. Wolf, how are you doing this wonderful Friday, sir?
I am doing great. I have been wanting to talk about TurboGrafx for quite some time, so I am ready for it.
We were talking off air before we got on live, and I was telling you guys how much like this console was like a dream console for me to pick up when I was younger, and I never got a chance to. So getting to talk about it is kind of fun, and reflecting on it way back in the day should be fun. Also, another dream console that I always wanted to work with. Sick Jake, how are you today, sir?
Yes, I'm an inanimate console. Thanks, Chard, for reducing me to a hunk of plastic and circuit boards. I heard
technical limitations.
And technical limitations as everything is going wrong today. I'm doing great for a Friday. A lot of good stuff this week. I do want to quickly shout out Aaron from Super Ghost Podcast, who's also the one who manages SuperPod Network. He gave us quite an extensive list of great TurboGrafx-16 games to check out. I know he's a huge fan of the system, so thanks to Aaron for the ideas here and some of the games I brought to the table.
Yes, he was definitely someone we were thinking about quite a bit when we were poking through the catalog and stuff. Speaking of also being technically limited, Sinistar, how are you today?
I wish I were circuit boards and plastic. I'm just saying, Jake might be. I wish I were. We're talking Project Hail Mary, right? That's what we're talking today.
Spoiler cast.
Glad we all went and saw the movie this last weekend, because no, we didn't. No, that's tomorrow, but that'll be next week's episode.
I'm seeing it Sunday.
Yeah, I think it's out today.
Saturday. Yeah, it came out. Yeah, I've
already Brother of Sin saw it yesterday.
Nice. I should go get the Project Hail Mary helmet that I got. That's the popcorn, limited edition popcorn bucket. But that has nothing to do with the TurboGrafx-16.
Can you fuck it? That's the going thing with popcorn buckets these days, is if there's an orifice in it.
I'm sure it's got some orifices I can find.
I mean, a popcorn bucket needs an orifice so you can actually put popcorn in it.
Do I have to do the meatloaf thing to my wife? Wait, hey, Meatloaf! Let me see your helmet. Who's coming?
Shit.
What is she even doing in there?
Yes,
Mom, Meatloaf!
I derailed the podcast already. Sweet.
That's the popcorn bucket? That's crazy.
You could probably fuck this.
I mean,
pretty big though.
With lube, anything's possible, Chard. That's a pretty rad helmet. That's pretty awesome.
Pretty rad, isn't it?
Yeah. Popcorn buckets. So, welcome to our new companion podcast, Popcorn Buckets. Can you fuck it? On Press B to Cancel.
Hey, no,
sorry, YouTube.
It's called the Fuck It Bucket. You had the opportunity.
Or the popcorn bucket.
Opportunity.
I spell a new Discord channel. I think that's what we need to do.
Wow, popcorn flavored lube. Continuing on, let's talk some TurboGrafx-16, guys. I know that's
Wolf. You gotta say hi to Wolf.
What we're all here for. Not buckets of popcorn. He did. That we can stick our
I was the first.
He was.
This is why I'm not hosting. Yeah,
really glad that I'm hosting.
There's those technical limitations we were talking about.
There it is. Okay.
I'm just
all right. Drink my Dr. Pepper. Okay, sponsored, not sponsored. So what is our experience with TurboGrafx-16? As I said, this was a dream console that I had seen growing up. I'd always kind of wanted to get my hands on it, and I think you guys had said that it came out around the same time the Sega Genesis did. Before.
I'll go over. I have a history.
That's right. This was like a bridge between the Master System and the Sega Genesis, and it was kind of squeezed in between there too.
Yeah,
because there's a lot of games that came out on the Master System that you also see on the TG-16.
The US launch of the TurboGrafx-16 was 2 weeks after the Genesis.
Wow. Okay.
So
what do they call? What was it called in Japan? Was the PC
Engine?
PC Engine.
Yep.
Yeah. Of course, I know it came with other games that were packaged with it, but the one that I honestly remember the most, and probably most people do that are our age, was Bonk, right? Bonk was like that one game, that one platforming game that just looked really cool. And it took the NES and it took the Master System. It just made the games look freaking amazing. And it was basically an in-house, supposedly like an in-house arcade unit, right? So a lot of people were trying to use that. And the 16-bit graphic system was what? It was two 8-bit graphics systems.
Well, no,
put
so
together.
the
How did that work?
graphics chips were 16-bit, but the actual CPU, the processor itself, was 8-bit.
That's right.
So yeah, it was I mean, it got a lot of flack for that. But what's interesting is, where's the limitation, right? I mean, like, I was watching Wolf play some games, and there was a game we'll talk about later that I honestly thought the graphics looked really close to like the SNES. It was
Yeah.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's funny that people got flack for that kind of setup, though. What do you got, Jake? What are you gonna say?
I was just coughing, but yeah, I will say
I
that
thought
yes,
you I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. I was trying
no,
not to
because
be
I mean
rude.
this system was early. It was 87 in Japan. It took a couple years to come over to North America, from what I saw, because I think they were trying to like repackage it for an American audience, as you do, I guess. But
August of '89.
89, yeah. So when it came out, yeah, how unfortunate it came out around the same time as the Genesis, because like the Genesis is probably on paper a better looking system or a bit more powerful system. But when I look at some of the games we'll talk about tonight, the graphics are actually pretty spot on. There's a couple that are, like you said, Chard, like R-Type is one. There's is an arcade port, and I was playing that, and then going back to the arcade game, it's pretty spot on. It's actually a very solid arcade port. It's not as high resolution or it's lower pixel count, but the sprites and everything is pretty spot on. And a lot of the games on the system are pretty good. So, and
You
I
got to
definitely
think of
want
a lot of the.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I thought
I was
you were
going to say, like you mentioned, Bonk. I think Bonk, which is pretty much the mascot of this console, the third game in particular had really large sprites, like some of the best sprites I've seen on a system, even compared to the Genesis, right? Or like you guys said, the SNES. It's a very powerful system, and I think is kind of a bit underrated. And I think I didn't even realize it was out before the Genesis. Technically, I thought it came out between that and the SNES. I didn't realize how early it was to the market. So that's pretty awesome. Like for this in Japan to go the NES to the TurboGrafx, that's a pretty big leap, I think, for the home market.
Well,
I
and
definitely
then
agree with that. Yeah.
part of the other issue is being that close to the Genesis, the pack-in game was also like, it's funny. I was talking to Wolf shortly ago about, I've never heard of this pack-in game ever in my life. And I saw it for the first time. Keith Courage in Alpha
Keith
Zones.
Courage, that's right. That's what
Of
it
course, everybody's favorite game. Keith Courage in the Alpha Zone.
Mario's stepbrother, Keith Courage.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, in comparison to Bonk, right, which came after, right? But and the Genesis, the initial Genesis pack-in game was Altered Beast. Like, how do you compete?
Right.
Altered Beast may not be the greatest game.
It's not.
It is a well-known game. It is a game.
I mean, Altered Beast was the first Genesis game. I played that, and I think it was Jack Nicholson's golf or some bullshit. But
Jack Nicklaus.
Jack Nicholson's golf.
But I mean,
you're going to swing the putter.
That was the joke. I'm glad we got the joke.
Oh, okay.
That was the joke. I know what I was saying. But Altered Beast was originally an arcade game, right? So
yes.
When it was ported over to the Sega Genesis as the game, and not a lot of people had their hands on the TurboGrafx-16, at least not that I knew of. We were always in the Nintendo world or the Genesis world, like Sega or Nintendo. That's where you hovered. And the TurboGrafx-16 with this beautiful little console, but it just seemed like it was always out of reach for like the common person. It felt like, don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it felt like in at least my household. And you dive in from Altered Beast, the arcade game, and now you have it at home. We have Altered Beast at home. Do we have Altered Beast at home? Because it's not great. Yeah,
but that was definitely the advantage of the Genesis. The Genesis was definitely felt like arcade at home. It was because you had Forgotten Worlds, you had Altered Beast, you had a few other shooters as well. So definitely the arcade experience. But
Golden Axe,
right? All the Sega games that were in the arcades that were popular, Sega brought them to their own consoles. Whereas the TurboGrafx-16 is a bit different in that it was NEC made it, but then Hudson Soft licensed it, I guess, or funded
Hudson Soft actually went to Nintendo in 1985 and actually wanted to like essentially sell the card concept, the card, video games on a card.
The cards.
The cards.
They're huge.
And
cards
while
now.
initially, And while initially Nintendo, as an add-on for the NES, initially they liked the concept, but with cost and royalties and stuff like that, they opted out. And then Hudson Soft went to NEC.
It's neat because the card system, the idea of like saving games to cards, and Nintendo liked it because when Hudson had it originally, they called it B cards for the MSX computer, which is a very popular gaming computer in Japan at the time. And I remember this. You could also save games to it if I'm not wrong. So that concept, the idea of having games on a small card and they're rewritable, I'm wondering if this is before or after Famicom had the disk drive system. I'm willing to bet it's probably before, because that was a big thing for Nintendo Japan, is you had discs that you could put into a drive. They had that over there. We didn't have it over here. So it's kind of neat. I liked cue cards a lot. When I first got the chance to play the TG16 in person, it was I was doing night school in elementary school, arts and crafts and shit. And one of the nights, the teacher brought her son, and he just brought his TurboGrafx-16, and he had the TurboGrafx-16, 5 controllers because you had to multi-tap, and he also had the TurboGrafx Express, which is like the handheld unit, because it was the cue cards with these they were credit card size things. So he was sitting there playing a game handheld in the chair, all bored teenager like.
Wow,
well, the rest of us kids were playing not Keith's Courage, Dungeon Explorer, I want to say it was. On the TurboGrafx-16 up on a TV. How rad to see him take the card from one and put it in the other, and it works. Like, that is early. Or only not, I mean, the Express came out later on, but still, to see like in the 90s a handheld that is literally console powered in your hand is awesome. So I really had a lot of respect for the system, although I did not play very much after that.
It's kind of cool. I mean, that technology is used today. Now, I mean, for the most part, I mean, you got the Switch where you're playing it on the TV, and then you can take the whole Switch and play it handheld in your hands, right? Same thing with a Steam Deck. If you get the dock, you can attach it to your TV and play it whatever. And it seems like now it's like, oh, that's such a cool concept. But they were already doing that. Like doing that in 87. It's pretty crazy that it kind of went to the wayside. And maybe, you're looking at it and you're like, okay, well, we can make more money if we make a handheld console, i.e. Game Boy by itself, that doesn't translate back and forth, and then we can sell that at its own thing, instead of being like, if we share Nintendo games with the Game Boy, that might not be a market that we make a lot of money on. And we all know Nintendo likes to find ways to make money in the best way possible. So I mean, Sega did the same thing with the Game Gear, and then the umpteenth million iterations of the different Game Boy versions all the way up to DS and whatnot. And but to think that technology was being used so early on, where you can take the game literally out of the console that's attached to the TV and slide it into a handheld unit and play the exact same thing. That's awesome. And it sucks that they waited forever to translate.
Same games, but the battery life was probably awful.
Of course, as expected.
I don't expect but still.
Look at the Game Gear and the game
Game Gear would last you 45 minutes of playing Sonic if you were lucky. That backlight sucked the life out of those batteries.
Like, I swear that like the handheld makers were funding the battery market, right?
Yeah.
Like, Mom,
I remember the battery light on the Game Boy just being like the worst thing to see ever, especially on a road trip. You're like, no, I need more double A's. This is killing the trip. But that's cool.
The Game Boy actually had decent battery life for what it was.
Yeah.
Well, that was at least 12 hours. Yeah, that was at least 12 hours out of that. Sometimes up to 40. I guess it depended on what you played. The Turbo Express, I just looked it up. About 3 hours on 6 AAAs.
But you know what?
Right.
That's the Switch.
Or 6 double A's. 6 double A's.
That's the Steam Deck.
6?
6 double A's. Yeah, that's
Steam Deck I can recharge.
But I think that's better battery life than the Lynx had.
Yeah,
that's true. Lynx was
when I remember I had a Game Boy. I remember like this was my first foray into rechargeable double A's, right? Like,
right.
And you had the wall thing that you'd plug in and stick your batteries into, and so you had to wait while you were.
Yeah. My Game Boy had the magnifying glass with the light attached to it. Like, I bought the little extension thing.
Yeah,
it was pretty funny. So we've obviously talked about some of the technology of the TurboGrafx-16. Do we have any personal experiences here amongst the show of people that have actually played one? I've never touched one myself. I've never dabbled. The best thing I could do is what we have here with the technology we're using now. I could play it on my Steam Deck downstairs, which is fantastic, but has anybody like actually outside of Jake, having the friend come over and bring the stuff over, like, did you guys own one? What was it like? Like, what was that about?
Yeah, so I had one. I got it well after the Genesis and Super Nintendo. So man, I remember getting it and I was pretty hyped for it anyway, because it was like I knew it had good games for it. But I think it was like at the point where they were selling them for $100 for the console, and like,
damn,
I think the games were all just like, here, take some games,
Almost,
shut up and take our games.
Almost shovelware, almost shovelware at that point.
Kind of. I personally had.
This is me buying a Dreamcast. I bought the Dreamcast when it was $50,
right? Right.
Yeah, I bought a few of those. But it was not. It didn't have like Bonk or Zonk, because I know those were both pack-ins as well at some point. Mine had Keith Courage, so I got to know Keith Courage in Alpha Zones pretty well. And yeah, up against Altered Beast, it's when you look at the first 2 minutes of either of those, you're picking Altered Beast.
Right.
But I think Keith Courage has a little more gameplay longevity than Altered Beast, but that was nothing I was ever concerned about because I had both consoles. But I never got any other games other than the 4 I had, which is kind of a bummer. So I had Victory Run, Keith Courage. Victory Run is a racing game. Well, kind of. It's kind of like Rad Racer a little bit, I guess.
Okay.
And then I had Ordine, which is an up to 5 player shmup, but side view. Okay. And then I had Devil's Crush.
Yeah.
Devil's Crush. Yeah.
Which is right here on my screen.
Yep.
Which
freaking awesome.
That one was great. I probably put the most time into that. And I'm not a pinball game player, and that game was fucking rad.
And you don't have to. That's the best part. Like I found myself, and most of the people that have reviewed Devil's Crush are like, we're not really pinball people. Like we respect it. Pinball's cool, but I ended up playing like an hour and a half of this game.
Yeah,
just sitting there, just playing it. It's fun as hell.
It just rolls. Like that's the thing. Like one of the things I hate about pinball is like how quickly it's designed to get the ball to the bottom of the screen. And this one, while there is some of that, it really feels like it's just about sitting and playing a pinball game for hours.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it lets you like there's a castle that forms at the very bottom of the screen, like pretty quick. So you don't have to worry about like it shooting through. It felt smooth. The gameplay in this is super, like you can make it slow or fast. You can pick on like what kind of speed you want to play when you first start it up. Even like both of them together, I didn't really notice a huge difference between the speed. So I didn't see a slower or fast side. Maybe because I started the fast first, it just felt better. So I kept playing it that way. But I love the different, like the hidden stages. I love the weird face that turns into like a reptile the more you unlock some things on it. Like and the cool side missions where you're fighting bosses that are throwing arrows or crosses into the ground or some shit. You're like, there's a lot of like, this game has a lot of really cool layers to it. That's not just a pinball game. Like it's an adventure in a pinball machine. I think that's the best way to describe it.
Right.
And then it laughs at you when your fucking ball goes through the hole.
All good games laugh and mock the player when you suck. Yeah.
It was great. So this was
Zelda 1 did that.
That's true. That's true.
For sure.
It did it to you in Zelda 2 too, I think.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. And gave you a seizure. Because
it did,
the style at the time.
Yeah. I ain't shaking enough to play this game, but no, this is cool. As for pinball games go, I really, really enjoyed Devil's Crush. This was a cool game.
I think for me the big thing was most pinball games at the time period were very difficult and they're hard to play. This one was more accessible, and I mean it's still difficult. Pinball is meant to be hard, but I felt I had an easier time playing this in Aliens Crush than I ever did any other video game pinball at the time. Like I remember playing a few on the NES and the Atari, and they were always brutal. But this one had a lot going on, but it didn't feel punishing to get the ball to the second level, like the top end of the board. and I didn't find I was falling down immediately afterwards. Right. My problem with pinball is I've never been good at pinball, but when you get to the top board and immediately falling down is very soul crushing. So I didn't have that issue with this game. But it's graphically a beautiful
You can
game.
hang out on top for a while too.
Yes,
that's the cool thing. And the soundtrack, beautiful, and the soundtrack in this game.
Yeah.
Soundtrack is just rolls.
Man.
It rolls with the game, right?
Yeah,
so dope. So
the Genesis
when your mom's
this
watching
or
you play this in the late '80s, going, "What are you playing? Oh, just worshiping the devil, mom."
Yeah,
in
Playing
pinball
some
form.
pinball.
Was this
Look,
on the
it's-
Genesis or was that the other one that was on the
Yes.
Genesis?
no, it was on the Genesis, but it was called Dragon's Fury on the
Okay.
Genesis. Same exact game, but that was the name for some reason.
Because I remember playing this in the Genesis, but I remember not
I wonder
liking it
if
as
that
much.
was-
It's
I
yeah,
wonder
there
if
was
that
something
was,
weird about it.
I wonder if that was from the Satanic Panic with the Genesis that they renamed it from
Satanic.
Devil's Crush,
That's a
right?
good point. Actually, yeah, I could see that.
It's during that era of the
Yeah.
Satanic Panic.
Don't play Dungeons and Dragons. It's
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
gateway
right.
to
Yeah.
devil worship. You
Yeah.
know?
Just play pinball. It's fine.
Just play pinball. Yeah.
And rename it from Devil to something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a
Orange
great game. This
Dragon's
is a very
Fury
solid one.
is the international release name for the Sega Genesis port of Devil's Crush, primarily due to censorship concerns related to the game's satanic and religious imagery. There you go. Deemed
Beautiful.
too controversial for Western audiences, particularly in the U.S.
So
Can't
Yes.
hold my eyes hard enough.
This pinball game's gonna corrupt your soul.
God's not gonna let you in if you be playing this pinball game. It's silly. It's a bunch of silliness.
I remember when I learned that was like that was done to Xenogears as well. Like all the religions were supposed to be actual religions, and they changed the names and stuff and iconography.
Huh.
I was like, really? Why? What the hell?
Well, I mean, Nintendo was famous for doing that, where they remove Bibles and crosses and whatnot from games, but they're pretty subtle with it. But I mean, I don't know if to go outright change the name of the game or in Xenogears to remove all references to religion is pretty drastic. Or to make it.
Well, they didn't remove them. They just changed. Yeah, they
ones.
just made up religions. But it like you could clearly see the
Right.
Yeah.
The connotations and stuff. Yeah, the connections to them.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Solid
But
game.
yeah, that's very. The only other game I ever got to actually play on a TurboGrafx was Dragon Spirit. And that was well after I had the Dragon Spirit NES game for years. So
Is that the shooter?
TurboGrafx Dragon Spirit game? Yeah. It's the shmup where you're a dragon, you get multiple heads or little baby
Oh, yeah, that
dragons
one was
next to
cool,
you,
yeah.
things like that. Yeah, I love that game.
That's cool.
So the NES game has a lot more going on. The TurboGrafx game is a more faithful port of the arcade version. So prettier, a little bit faster, and looks like the arcade game. Whereas the NES game, like the graphics are very clearly an NES game. But I mean, it looked good for an NES game, but it didn't look like the TurboGrafx game by any means.
Right.
So it was like, pick your poison. Do you want the one that's harder but looks prettier, or do you want the one that's more accessible and has more content but doesn't look as pretty?
I think I've played the NES version of that one. I think I messed around with the one here. I think we had that one here that I was playing with. I played a lot of TurboGrafx games over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
You
shmups.
found a gem, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Oh, the shmups on this system are second to none, honestly.
They're not bullet hell level to a certain extent, but man, there is
Mm-hmm.
quite a few. I mean, it should have been called the Turbo Shmup Machine 16 because
Yeah.
Yeah.
they're either side
If you-
scrollers or top scrollers of some kind of
R-Type-
flying game. You know,
R-Type,
R-Type,
blazing
Soldier Blade,
lasers, Soldier Blade.
blazing lasers. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
Well,
that?
I want to talk about R-Type as well as Soldier
Thunder-
Blade charge. So let's pick with one.
Yeah.
And we'll go into it.
Okay. let's,
Airzonk is actually a shmup too.
yeah,
anyway.
Airzonk is also a shmuppy shmup. What are you hovering over, Jake?
Well, I got Soldier Blade because you guys mentioned
Let's
that one
do
first.
Soldier
How about you
Blade.
talk about Soldier
Alright.
Blade? Because that was the one you told us
Yeah.
about this week, and that was
Yeah.
actually really
So-
good too.
I had been doing my research on the YouTubes, and when I give plasma, I usually watch some kind of video or something, and given the task to find a game that wasn't Bonk or R-Type to play in the TurboGrafx-16, because everybody know. I mean, most people in the gaming world know Bonk and know R-Type either from Super Nintendo, Super R-Type, or Bonk from all the, because it was a Super Nintendo
Bonk
game
was
too,
on
I think.
everything, I think.
Yeah, Bonk was all over the place. So
Nintendo
but
for sure.
when I was much younger, there was a game that a friend of mine that I still chat with every now and then. We religiously played this game called what the heck was it called? God, I told you guys about it. God, getting
Soldier
old
Blade.
sucks. And no, it's not Soldier Blade. It's
no,
another
it was
game
something else.
Yeah, it was a Genesis game that played like Soldier Blade, and we had joked about when you remember a game, how awesome it was. And like, we played this game one time for the Sega Genesis, and then we couldn't find it anywhere. It was gone. And then in my old state, I found it again, was like, oh shit, it's this game. I love this game. Vapor Trail. Thank you. Vapor Trail was the game that we played. And I played it again, and it was fucking awful. It was terrible. Not at all what I remember it, because it used to be like the Great White Buffalo of games for us.
As I said in our chats, that's the member berries talking.
It is. It's definitely member berries. Well, I fire up Soldier Blade because it looks reminiscent of Vapor Trail, and boy, was I not let down. This game is awesome. It's an over-the-head shmup. You're flying a red ship, and there's 3 different color upgrades that you can get, and you can log 3 different upgrades at a time. Obviously, the weapon gets bigger or more stronger. You get the red upgrade, which is like some pellet shooting stuff that spreads out more. The blue upgrade is like a blue laser and electricity it shoots off. And then the green upgrade is like a wave thing that shoots out. And you get a little helper that flies around with you and adds extra bullets to the screen. And you just fly. It's just a shmup. You just fly around and blow the shit up. But the sprites for some of like the tanks, some of the ships, like the sprites are big. Like you were saying about Bonk being real large. The stuff in here was also like a very, very good size. And the detail in it, I think, is pretty damn good for being, on the TurboGrafx-16. This game was fun. And it's, as shmups go, pretty damn accessible, to be honest with you. Like, when you first fire up a shmup, you usually die within the first 5 minutes of playing the game, because you got to get the pattern and you got to know what's going on. I didn't feel that way with this one. I actually got to like level 3 within my first run and was like, damn, this is pretty fun for shmup. Like, I didn't, it wasn't R-Type, because I've thrown my controller more than enough times to play an R-Type. That game, I love that game, but goddamn, does it piss me off. This one, very accessible, a lot of fun to play, looks great, music's cool. Everything about Soldier Blade is actually a really well-made game, and I would recommend this to anybody that's like, I like shmups, but they piss me off, but I want to play one. This is one I would definitely toss your way. This is a cool one.
Yeah, you're definitely powerful really quickly in this game. What I really like, though, was the bombs. Like most shmups, almost every shmup I know, it's you have the shooting, and then you have your bomb button, right? The 2 buttons. And one of the issues with shooting usually is you have to tap the button and you wear your finger out. This is auto fire, which makes it great already. But the bomb system, it's not limited per se like regular games. Instead, those power-ups, you pick those colored power-ups to change your weapon. You can carry 3 of them, and you basically sack them as your bomb, and the bomb type matches the color. So you kind of want to pick up all the power-ups and use them right away to drop bombs, and you're kind of constantly cycling through the weapons. So you don't feel like you're attached to a weapon all the time, because you're constantly bombing. So it's a neat that you really like the green weapon, fine, but if you don't drop a bomb, you're not going to be doing big damage against bosses. But by doing that, you lose that weapon for a bit. You cycle through them pretty quickly. But I thought that was interesting that you couldn't stay with the same weapon type if you didn't want to bomb. I thought it was great. It's really great. The bosses are huge, like you said. I feel like shmups on like the Genesis suffer from flicker a lot of the time, or more than I want them to. Definitely more than the NES. But this one just looks gorgeous, smooth. Like a lot of TG16 games, very smooth to play. And you're right, it's more accessible. Like you can get through the first few stages on one life, right? And then it ramps up pretty hard. But I don't feel like it's unfair in the first 5 minutes like most of the genre is for me. So, Soldier Blade was a really good one.
Yep. Look at that. I found a good one that even Jake likes.
Might be a hidden gem. Here.
It could very well be a hidden gem. I don't know. I when I was doing my research, I had heard a lot of talk about Soldier Blade. This one had been talked about a lot. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go check this out. And the guy was right. It's totally accessible. It's a lot of fun. And even the power-ups, if I'm not mistaken, you could take hits in this game and not blow up on the first hit. Like I think it'll burn burn a power up or you get a shield or something like that. You can play this one consistently without dying 1,800 million times over and over again, like say R-Type or Lords of Thunder or something like that. This is a really cool game. I would recommend anybody that's like, I want to play a shmup, but I suck at them. Play this one and give this one a whirl. I think you'll enjoy it. Okay. I mean, since we're on it, we might as well hover over the R-Type and discuss how we feel about one of the coolest looking side-scrolling shmups. I think I've always thought the artwork and the graphics in R-Type are, I don't want to say second to none, but they're up there. And the alien xenomorph looking creature that everybody correlates R-Type to. I mean, you get the ball with the spikes on the front of it that counts as a shooter, and you can throw that out there, and then you can put it behind you, and you could shoot stuff behind you. There's a lot of really cool tricks to this game, but goddamn, this game is tough.
I'm like you. I love R-Type. I suck at it, but I love R-Type. I love the fact that you can power up your weapon. I love the fact that it's a side-scrolling shmup. I love the power-up system where you can attach it to the different areas of your ship. Like I'm a big fan of R-Type, but damn, is it a hard game?
Yeah,
it is
not
tough.
A game for the.
I beat this for
the
Master System. I did a game challenge years ago, and this is one of my Master System games I had to get through, and it took me a while. But a part of that was because the Master System sucks, right? So it suffered from slowdown, flicker. I remember there's one stage where you couldn't see the bullets from the background because they were similar color. None of those issues on the TG-16 one. In fact, before this episode, I was comparing the TG-16 version of R-Type with the arcade original, and damn if they're not close. Like they're very close. Like the music on the arcade is still better, but still sounds really great here. And even though it's less resolution compared to the arcade, the sprites are still very large, same graphical quality, very smooth gameplay again, all the weapons, and I think all the stages are here. What I liked about this one that I thought was neat is when this released in Japan, it was early, and at the time, the Hue cards, the credit cards, were smaller, I guess, due to cost. So they actually in Japan broke this game up to two cards, a part 1 and part 2.
That's right, I remember that.
And you had to use a password to carry your score and stuff across. But I guess when it came to North America, since it was so much later than Japan, I guess they were able to get bigger Hue cards, and they fit the whole game on the American cards. So I thought that was neat. But definitely, this is a game you see in all the magazines advertising for Sega and TG-16, and you're right, it's that giant red alien, that ugly motherfucker is great, but it's a solid game. I like this because the charging attack, and you can see the charge beam, but I like how you can use the option of the add-on module as a weapon. You can actually shoot it forward, and it will kill pretty much everything. And that's how I got through the Master System one originally. Was there's certain bosses have weak points, and you send your module into the weak point, and that's usually how you beat the bosses. Figuring that out, and then also dodging and not dying from everything is quite a trip. This is one of my favorite shmups. Like it's a really great shmup, one of my favorites. The music kind of lives rent-free in my head. Like I always know the R-Type theme music. It's mostly from the first stage, but later on it gets really good too. But
because we spend so much time on it.
It is not.
At least
it is
that's
a
my
super
problem.
Hard game. Yes. Yeah. But it's the biopunk horror stuff, like all the bosses are really rad. But then there's like one stage where it's a giant floating spaceship, and you're kind of going underneath it and watching out for the flames and whatnot. And then to beat that giant ship boss, you have to maneuver. Even though it's side scrolling, you have to kind of maneuver around and hit the core. Very unique and original, very tight and cramped. Just really great. I really do like R-Type. It's a great one, and it's practically arcade perfect. Like when we say the Genesis had a lot of great arcade ports, none of the ports on the Genesis, I think, were as faithful as R-Type in the arcades versus R-Type on the home console and TG-16. Really impressive port.
Agreed.
Concur.
This is if you wanted to play Splatterhouse and not get in trouble with your mom. you played this instead.
It's aliens, Mom. It's aliens. It's not
aliens.
the devil.
It's aliens.
Relax.
It's fine. So no, R-Type this has always been one of those games that I've like told myself that I would get good enough to beat one of these days in my life. I put it up there on a possible Sisyphean challenge at some point in my life, maybe. Now that I have access to the TurboGrafx-16 version, that would definitely be something I'd put on my list. I tried playing this once for a charity stream many years ago, and I had not touched very much of it. I was like, oh, it's R-Type. good gamer. I could get past it. No, it was probably the worst hour of a stream that I had ever had during a community challenge. So we've not played it since. Since we started doing the TurboGrafx-16 run. So it's something else. But I love the concept of bringing arcades home, and I know that the Genesis was doing it, but it seemed like the Genesis was more popular for bringing the home or the arcades or whatever. But this one, like you said, was very faithful to a lot of the games that we played in the arcades. What are you gonna say, such sir?
Well, I was going to change to a different game. I don't want to steal Wolf's thunder, but I watched him play a couple of games before we started recording, and there is a D&D game. It's produced by SSI, so it's the same people that did the gold box. And the reason I was like, oh my gosh, is because it has the same exact font as the SSI game. But it looks fantastic compared to even the gold box games. And like now I kind of want to play it because I love the SSI D&D games.
Which game is this?
Is that the Double Dungeon?
What was it called? It was Dungeons and Dragons. Let's see.
While you're looking it up, because I played a little bit of double dungeons.
Yeah,
I keep saying dragons, and that was like
it's like a Harry Potter book
dungeon crawler. And the neat thing of that is like the movement compared to like other consoles that did first person dungeon crawlers was very smooth on the TG16. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah.
Like was this legit Dungeons and Dragons game, or was it?
It is
Bard's Tale.
It's
called Dungeons and Dragons: Order of the Griffin.
Really? I'll be honest with you. Okay. It's produced by SSI, who had the licensing,
right?
And honestly, as much as I have the 3 gold box complete in boxes right next to me. Right. I looked at this and I was like, man, this makes the graphics on those look like shit.
Yeah, like graphically, it was kind of bizarre because it had 3 different visual presentations. Yeah. So when I first started playing, it dropped me into a town where I was walking around like a dungeon crawler first person, where, right turns you right, forward lets you move through the town a little bit, whatever. But then I hit the edge of town, and then all of a sudden it's a world map a la Final Fantasy. And I'm walking around with 4 heroes just grouped together doing their thing as they travel about. And then you get into random battles, which turned it into a tactical RPG with your heroes and whatever enemies turn up.
And that's the part that looks very SSI. That because all the SSI battles are tactical. Like you have to like explore the map and move your so.
Yeah, that's the thing with the system is it's not, even though like shmups are like all over the place, it had some killer RPGs, right? Like we said, Eves 1 and 2 were on here as well. Double Dungeons.
Well, those were on Turbo CD.
Right. Okay. But there were still other ones that, like dungeon crawlers were definitely a thing on this system. Like it had a variety of genres.
It had a Zelda-like called Newtopia.
Yep.
No. Oh, and I played it for a little while, and I couldn't. It's like every time you enter a new, like, okay, think of Zelda, right? Yeah. It drops you on that first screen. You go into the cave, you get your sword. Now you're wandering the countryside.
Right.
There's caves here and there, a tree here or there, right? In this game, it drops you, like it starts you in the starting point where the lady's like, come back here to heal, come back here to get your password or save your game. Which is weird that it has both options, but sure. So you leave there, you go down to the very next screen, there's another fucking hole in the ground, just like stairs going down into the ground, with someone to talk to who says almost nothing and gives you an item. And then I leave and go into the very next overworld screen, and there's another one. And the next screen, another one. Or if you branch off the other way, another one. Like they're everywhere, just giving you shit and explaining very little.
It's dangerous to go alone. You're going to see me everywhere.
Take everything.
Yeah,
see in the next screen.
Credit, they're different people, but it was really like they're presented in a very dull fashion.
Right.
And I was like, this game is just the gameplay was too slow to be good. And the enemies move too fast for your character to be able to to feel like you're playing well. So as a Zelda-like goes, I know I've seen videos of people being like, it's good. I don't know.
You know, I also heard Quest 64 was good.
Yeah.
No.
There's rumor.
No.
There's rumor of that.
I will say I enjoyed Newtopia more than Quest 64. Take that how you will.
That's on my list of games to play this year. I said I would play Quest 64.
Newtopia or Quest 64?
Both. Both.
Wow. I want to know what it feels like to put hot pokers in my eyes. I'm going to do that this year.
Oh, there's worse games. You could be playing, I don't know, Final Fantasy, whatever that one is, Remake, Rebirth, whatever.
Oh, Jesus.
It's on the backlog.
I did find one real gem today when I was just poking through the TurboGrafx library. Yeah. And it's called Crater Maze.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is basically like Mappy Land or Flicky or something along those lines, presented in the style of Pac-Man or Bomberman.
Huh. Okay.
So you're wandering around collecting treasure chests in an overhead map maze kind of deal, avoiding enemies. And also kind of like Lode Runner. I believe Sinistar mentioned something about that when I was playing it.
Yeah, okay.
Which is interesting because Bomberman is technically the evolution of Lode Runner, isn't it? It's kind of like
lore-wise, yes.
The bridge between them.
Yeah.
But yeah, you literally drop craters around in the ground in front of you to catch enemies in the holes. And then you go around collecting all the treasure chests. And after you collect all the treasure chests, a key will appear. You got to go get the key, and then you can go through the exit door.
Okay.
And as you're playing, you'll find upgrades. The game is actually really pretty graphically for the time.
Great. The
music is good too. And you find upgrades like you get a shovel. The first shovel I got, all of a sudden I'm dropping 2 craters instead of 1. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I found another shovel in the same stage. Now I'm dropping 4 craters instead of 2. Eventually I was dropping just a whole row of craters. It was stupid. Until I got like a ray gun. Now I'm shooting bubbles like Bubble Bobble, trapping enemies in them. They float away and die.
That's funny.
It was pretty wild. The music was a little funky, but good.
The graphics are great.
And apparently, and we didn't even see I played normal mode, not difficult mode. Apparently in difficult mode, there's a bunch of soldiers around on the levels too, not just the normal enemies.
Oh, wow.
So I don't even know what that is. But the plot, I was kind of curious why every time I'd start a stage, you'd see like, I don't know, a dozen or so dudes run back and forth across the screen, removing the black and revealing the stage.
Huh.
And apparently those are all the main characters' friends because they went for a time travel trip on the magic carpet machine. That's what they call it in the game, the magic carpet machine.
Fucking magic carpet.
And while traveling through time on this trip, they run into this monster called Zen Zombie that traps all of your friends.
Slow your roll, Ringo.
Because he doesn't like invaders in his land.
No. This is a Beatles album that was never made, clearly.
Right?
Yeah. So the goal of the game is to go and release all your friends from Zen Zombie, which honestly just looks like a big like a clay or stone golem.
Wow. I played a little bit of this. I didn't realize how involved these power-ups got. I'm watching some later stages. You're right. You drop a whole series of holes. There's warp holes you can do. There's ice blocks.
Yeah.
There's a lot. There's a lot going on here in later stages. I thought it was a basic maze game.
And you get fast.
Yeah.
I didn't even see the door. Holy moly.
Yeah. Well, it's something we didn't realize either, Wolf, while you were playing it. If you bury the enemy when they're in the hole, it gives them a tombstone, and you get a bonus at the end of the level for every tombstone.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
These crosses that are on the map here, they're killing me.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because you're burying people alive. So you're putting them in an early grave. That shit's hilarious.
You got Dungeons and Dragons. Crater Maze is the real cult behavior.
That's right.
To be worried about.
And there doesn't seem to be any downside to just filling the map with craters either.
Right.
Yeah, because you can walk in your own holes, which is
you can
wild.
walk over them.
Yeah.
You could just drop craters. You can like fill up what you've dropped. So like if there's overlap between where you've placed some and are placing new ones, it'll erase them and fill them in.
Right.
But I saw no downside to just going apeshit with the craters.
This is awesome. This is pretty cool. It's like Lolo meets Bomberman meets Pac-Man. This could have been one of the puzzle games that we talked about last week.
Yeah,
maybe this should have made a pillar.
On anything else? Like, I don't think so. I don't think I've heard of it before until you mentioned it.
I feel like I've heard of it before, but I'm wondering if it's just from like tickling my brain from an EGM decades ago or something. You know?
Right. Yeah.
The game that, I mean, R-Type and Bonk have been the two front runners for brain tickling in the TurboGrafx-16. These being able to dive into the catalog a little bit deeper and playing the the Demon's Crush and I forgot that Splatterhouse had made an appearance on there as well.
There was a Bomberman game. There was a Galaga game.
That Bomberman game is Bomberman 93, and I think 94 was on this as well. And that is arguably one of the best Bomberman games to play. Especially the multiplayer, even against bots. That's the one that had different bots with personalities and really colorful, great graphics. There was a Genesis port of it, but the TG16 version was great. I love Bomberman 93 or 94. I forget what the year is, but that's a solid port. And again, with this system, even though the hardware only had one controller port, you could get the, I think they called it Turbo Tap, I think, for up to 5 players if you want to do 5 controllers, which is wild to me. But yeah, that's a solid game. Bomberman was great on the system. All the Hudson Soft stuff was here, which is great.
Right.
So since we're talking about, sorry, go ahead.
I want to point something out because I did a little looking up of Crater Maze. Apparently, Crater Maze was the name for the TurboGrafx-16 port, which was the only version that ever came outside of Japan. But it was originally an arcade game called Kids Hore Hore Daisakusen. So it's just the same game. That's just what they called it there. But it got a Famicom port, and it was called Booby Kids.
Of course, that sounds all right. Because you're booby trapping people, right? That makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
Makes sense.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, since
I must have just seen it in EGM or something. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Sinistar.
No, since we're talking about how many games are on the system that, like, none of us played, but are fantastic games. I was looking at like rankings of the TurboGrafx, stuff like that, and like IGN in 2009 ranked this number 13 in their list of top 25 consoles.
Yeah,
and it beat PlayStation 3, the GameCube, the Saturn, the Neo Geo. I mean, it was like, and their whole point behind it was that it had even though it was overlooked, it had a fantastic game library.
Yeah. I mean, you had Legendary Axe, which I know Jake wanted to talk about a little bit at some point in this discussion, so we can transition to that. It had Rondo of Blood on there, which is a fantastic Castlevania game.
Although I think the CD, a CD
was
release.
That the CD? Okay.
CD,
well, it was still within that boundary. You know, there's a lot of really good games, and I don't want to say this was a sleeper console because most people our age know what the TurboGrafx-16, but I don't think they know how deep the TurboGrafx-16 actually went. I think it was robbed by Bonk and R-Type and Splatterhouse and things like that. Because then you could go, oh shit, Splatterhouse is on the Super Nintendo. Let's play it there. You know, it was like, what was the easily accessible game at the time? SNES. And most of those games wound up on the SNES in some port of some fashion. So, you know, I think it could have had a longer lifespan had, you know, the SNES not shown up and the Genesis not showed up as quickly as they did to kind of take away from what they were making out there.
Can we talk about Bonk for a second? I'm going to show off the third game.
Do it.
Mostly showing off the third one because of the graphic, how much better the graphics were in this. Bonk 3 is the one that had right in the first 5 seconds of the stage, you get Big Bonk. And it's a screen filling Bonk, right? Like the only time I've seen something like that in a platformer was not until I think it was Mario on the DS, possibly, that had giant Mario mushroom where you filled the screen, and Bonk has this on the U16 and the third one. I'm more familiar with the first game. That was the game I played the most of, but Do you feel like Bonk as a mascot holds up to Mario and Sonic?
I do, because I still remember it to this day. Like I feel like given enough time, Bonk could have been a Sonic, could have been a Mario. I don't know. I think I love the gameplay of Bonk. I think it's a cool platformer. I love the concept of, using you could jump underneath enemies and knock them down. It's not just, you don't just have to swing at them. I like the ability to keep spin jumping on things and cracking like the shells of enemies' helmets and things like that. I love the big Bonk. I like the rage Bonk. I like him using his teeth to climb up mountains and shit. Like, I think there's a lot of potential in Bonk's existence, and I just think, again, because of the location of when the SNES came in and when the Genesis came in, that he was overshadowed from Sonic. Because Sonic was the cool new thing that was going to beat Mario, and then you had the war between Sega and Nintendo. Sega does what Nintendo don't. It just took away from what the TurboGrafx could have actually really become, I think. And it's a shame, because I thought Bonk was pretty damn cool. And it was one of those games growing up. It's like, I've always wanted to play it. Where can I play this? And I didn't have a Super Nintendo until way, way later in life. So I never got to play it until way, way later. And I think this was a missed opportunity for a game like this.
It had a sense of humor too. The first Bonk game, I remember when I played it the first time, there's a section where you get to a dinosaur, you climb over his back, and you go into his mouth, and you go into the system of the dinosaur through his stomach, and you're swimming through his juices. And like you're dodging the dangly little things. Apparently he has a bunch of them, fishbone creatures, like the whole, like a very creative level. But you finish this level by going at the end of the level, there's a downward shaft. And if I remember right, there's like brown or dark gray blocks. And it wasn't until I realized, oh, you're basically hammering out shit to coat his ass. And it's just, I've never seen a game do that before, and that was pretty interesting.
But speaking of the satanic panic,
right.
Yeah, you're going through a dinosaur's butt. That's great. That's what Nintendo don't. So,
I think the wrong thing.
Bonk as a character, I think, is very interesting. I like the design of it. I love how colorful the sprite is and how big it is. And even like the third game had the giant Bonk. I don't think the first two had that, and that's fine. But overall, character design is very creative. Maybe a little bit repetitive in terms of the enemies and stuff. But when I compare it to like Sonic, a lot of time I think I like Bonk better. But I will say the controls were not as good as I remember them being. And that's probably my biggest complaint with a lot of games on TG16 is I don't feel like the controls are very snappy. At least unless you guys felt differently. The only game I played the last couple days where the controls felt bang on was Legendary Axe, which I think was much better than I expected.
Right. No, I felt the same way playing Bonk again on the Steam Deck. I was like, they don't feel very responsive. Like I feel like I'm a hair behind of what I thought I was going to do. So I'd miss a lot of jumps, I'd miss a lot of attacks. And trying to figure out the spin somersault attack where I'm watching videos of people doing the somersault attack and they're just bam, bam, bam. And I'm like, fuck, that should be easy. No, I'm missing that shit left and right, man. I don't know how the hell they did it.
Well, I can tell you.
They're beating.
Because the controller, the TG16, at least in North America, it came in the box. It was it had turbo built in. There's a switch above the 1 and second button for turbo. And when it comes to Bonk, you need the turbo because that's how you can do the spin infinitely, or you can climb the cliffs very easily.
Okay.
When the thing came out in Japan, it wasn't initially turbo enabled, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the controller actually, like, it had adjustable, so like it was turbo at a certain speed or turbo at full speed, or just off, and you could do that individually for each button.
Yeah.
I'm like,
so it was,
bro, I'm getting carpal tunnel trying to get this stupid somersault to get me anywhere. I don't know how these people are literally flying around in these games, and I'm really mashing it in.
I was going to say you're holding the Steam Deck like this so that you can.
Felt like I was drinking soda pop from Chrono Trigger. It was insane.
Like, I will say that the TG16, because it released so early, you can tell they were mimicking Nintendo in the beginning with the 2-button layout. But they tried to iterate on the system over time. That's why they tried doing the CD system. They tried doing another add-on called the SuperGrafx later on. But even the controller, originally 2 buttons in Japan, then they added turbo, and that was the default in North America. But they ended up adding a 4-button controller. And the reason they did the 4-button controller was because a lot of games were starting to use these basically the start and select buttons on the controller for additional moves. There was one shmup I played, I think it was Barracuda, where you're like a UFO type thing, and you can use the buttons to rotate the gun around you. It's a really, really cool shooting game. But one of the buttons would spin clockwise, the other one was shoot. So to spin counterclockwise, you'd hit select. So because the game's doing that, they released a 4-button controller. And then later after that, they reiterated even further and released a 6-button controller for the TG16, which I had no idea. But I think the big reason for that was there's a Capcom eventually released Street Fighter 2 Championship Edition for the TG16, right. And it's a respectable port. Like it's not as it's not like the arcade, but yeah, it's slower. Yeah. But the characters are there, it plays pretty good, and it supports 6 buttons. So I like how with one console they really tried to slowly build up the capabilities of the machine where they could with additional add-ons. So it's kind of neat.
It's interesting that you brought that up as well, because in my research on the history, they made a whole slew of different hardware variants. Now, most of them were PC Engine variants, but there was even a laptop version.
Yeah, with the foldable screen.
Called the PC Engine LT, right?
Yeah.
There was a CRT monitor with a built-in console. It was like they were doing all sorts of craziness, and most of it ended up in the Japanese market, where this was actually popular.
Right. It's crazy to think, because I mean, we talk about all like the N64 is a perfect example of what we thought was going to be an adaptable console where you're going to add stuff to it. There's ports in that thing. The GameCube's the same way. There's ports in that thing that were like, what are we going to add to this? Like, this is going to be some expansion.
or the Genesis when you build all of the stack.
Yeah, where it stacks up. Yeah, your 32X stacking tower. But I mean, they actually did it. Like TurboGrafx-16 actually added all this stuff and made it a bigger console instead of just building a brand new console that had a little bit better graphics. There's a lot of respect that I give to that company for throwing that together and actually expanding upon the console that they said they were going to expand upon, instead of making all these faux ports and then being like, don't worry, there's going to be stuff. Hey, GameCube, what happened to the N64 expansion when we were going to do stuff with that? No, GameCube sounds better. Oh, okay, fine. So it's a cool console. I want to say it's pretty underrated, because we talk about, we always talk about Sega, we always talk about Nintendo, we always talk about PlayStation, all this stuff. But I feel like the TurboGrafx-16 needs some love, because it's an awesome system, and it's still one that I would love to stumble upon one of these days and add to the collection, because I think that game that was just like, it was a holy grail of gaming systems in my house for me was the TurboGrafx-16. And one of these days I'll get one. One of these days I'll find one.
You don't need to buy the machine. You can play it on Steam Deck. You can play it. Actually, Analog is they haven't released. I don't think they've released it yet. But they now that they've done their N64 clone console, they're doing the Turbo Duo clone, which is the Hue cards and the CD in one model, and that's supposed to be coming out, I think, if it hasn't already, very soon.
There was a
market for it.
There was a TG16 Mini that came out in 2020.
Yeah.
There was there. Son of a bitch. Okay. Internet, here I come. Amazon, here I come.
Let me
I'm checking it right now because I just remembered that.
Let me show Legendary Axe as
well. Please.
Let's talk
everybody
about
needs
the
to see Legendary Axe.
Castlevania model that was on TurboGrafx. This is actually a pretty cool game. I was actually
you're like a caveman dude and you're swinging an axe. I guess that's the Legendary Axe. But what surprised me about this one right from the get-go is how snappy the controls are. The jumping and the movement feels really good, better than on many games on the SNES or the Genesis even. And again, very large sprite.
Yeah, the sprites are big.
And good variety of enemies, gorgeous backgrounds. Like, it looks really good. But if you listen to the opening sound, I've heard this tune in several different YouTubers' videos or people who have streams and they have their starting music. I've heard Legendary Axe's music there, and I've never seen this game before. I wish I played it sooner. It's actually pretty rad. But what I like is, like, right from the get-go, there's a hole you go down, and there's a giant spider coming down from the ceiling, and you have to whack on it. And as you're slashing at it, it's basically a boss in the first 30 seconds. His legs come flying off.
And his legs are coming off,
That's cool.
It's funny as fuck.
Dude, it looks like Rastan.
Yeah. Yes, but caveman style, right? Yeah. It very much feels like Rastan. But as you're playing, you get power-ups to give you stronger attacks. I want to say that you have a power meter. so that if you you slash quickly, you don't do as much damage. I think is how it works. But I only had time to spend like maybe half an hour with this game. First level's pretty good, but then after the second level, it gets really hard. I kept dying in one particular area where it's platforming, because this is very much a slashing / platforming game, but control is pretty solid. You'll never guess what the boss of the second stage is. It's the weirdest thing. It's a giant. No, it's not Rastan. It's a giant glowing boulder, literally like Indiana Jones's fucking nightmare. You get to the end of this because the boss of the first stage is a pair of bears come after you, which is pretty terrifying. Yeah, two bears,
fucking teddy bears, fucking you up. So apparently Goldilocks ran away and they're pissed off and need to take somebody out, and you just happen to be there.
He even jumps like Rastan.
Yes, it is very much Rastan coded for sure. Like, I would say Rastan more than Castlevania. And like pretty fast-paced combat. But anyway, combat's really good. But the second boss is you get to the end of the stage and there's a bunch of giant rolling boulders. And then at the last screen, it's a giant glowing boulder, and you can whack at it with your axe a couple times, and you have to jump up into a vine to swing over it, drop down, and swing again. It took me a few tries to get through that one, realizing that you were meant to actually smack the rock with your axe. I didn't think that was the boss. That would be a boss. It's pretty funny to me. But I didn't get very far in the third stage. But yeah, it's gorgeous game. The controls so good, and the music is, like I said, iconic retro music. I didn't know it was from this game. I wish I did, but it's a pretty solid game.
When I was going through the top TurboGrafx-16 games in research, a lot of people were saying that they wished Legendary Axe had been the pack-in instead of so and so and the altered so and so something.
This looks like this could have easily been a pack-in game. Like, if I had no idea, I would have assumed that this came with it, because this looks, to me, this looks like what Alter Beast should have been.
Yes, I would have played this over Altered Beast, and I liked arcade Altered Beast a fair bit, but this feels like there's more going on here, where the jumping and the platforming makes a difference, right?
Yeah.
Keith Richards and the old man's guitar. That's what the pack-in game was.
There it is. There it is. No, they actually made a Legendary Axe 2, which the main character uses a sword, and there's not much axing.
That's not the same. That's not legendary at all.
Pretty good. Yeah.
So they basically were like
the legendary sword.
So they basically were like, "This is Rastan enough that we need to Rastan this up some more."
Yeah, they went like, it's not. I don't think it's the same character. He doesn't look like a Cro-Magnon fucking caveman trying to find his dinner for the day. It actually looks like some kind of. I think this one looks better than the second one, but they both play very similar. And
maybe the second one, your character's name is Axe, and that's why he's legendary. that's got to be the spin.
Axel, legendary Axel. No,
this looks good, man.
Yeah, it's a solid game.
Pretty solid.
Yeah,
this system checks out. This system checks out.
Like there's even a different version of Darkwing Duck on this system that's quite different. There's a Batman game.
Tailspin.
There's Tailspin. There's a Batman game.
Did you guys try Tailspin?
No, is it good?
Okay. Are you guys familiar with Tailspin for the NES?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
like a shmup, right?
Yeah. Kind of. It's kind of sort of.
And this is TurboGrafx. So what do you think Tailspin will be?
A shmup.
Not a shmup.
A platformer.
It's not.
It's not even remotely a shmup.
It is a platformer, and it's awful. Like, really? The shmup system. You guys were like, let's make a not even mediocre. It's just bad.
Maybe they looked at the shmup landscape on this system and they're like,
we need to what do you Tim, are you making another shmup? Well, it's Tailspin. I don't care. Make a platformer. Oh, okay. We have too many shmups as it is.
Yeah.
Let's have Baloo jumping from fucking platform to platform, because that makes sense. He's not even in a plane.
Is that what it is? Is it Baloo you're playing as?
Yes.
The most ungainly,
jumping
clumsy
around
character
in a jungle.
Disney?
Yeah. He's in a jungle, as you would be in Tailspin.
I have to look this up. Hold
on. The Darkwing Duck one looks actually pretty good. I don't think it turned out pretty good, but it looks pretty good. Bigger sprites. It looks like a Ninja Turtles arcade kind of style for Darkwing Duck.
Oh, they did do a platformer. Why? I mean, to the credit that Baloo looks pretty detailed here.
Yeah,
it looks
why
good.
All the platforming's falling down?
The water looks like ass, but it looks good.
Yeah.
Listen, we're not here to make miracles, okay? We're here to make Tailspin a platformer.
I don't know how he managed to. I know you saw early on he threw horror like vertic or diagonally. I don't know how he did that. I kept trying. I couldn't make it happen.
Cheat codes.
I
like how the pickups aren't even like pickups. They're just like a score. It's a score. I just go pick up 500.
Just go grab a number.
At the very beginning of the stage, the first level, the first thing it teaches you is don't go in the water. Jump on hippopotamus heads to not fall in the water. If you fall in the water, you die. And they go underwater. So if you wait too long, you jump. There's no head there. You fall in the water. Game over, right?
So it's Pitfall.
Halfway through the stage, all of a sudden, there's a spot where it's like, now walk in the water.
Don't worry about it now.
And if you fall in the water past that, you don't die, you don't walk, you get washed back to where you walk in the water.
Clearly that was poison water, and then there's safe water.
Inconsistency.
Baloo figured out how to swim for a minute and then forgot.
Why isn't he flying? This is ridiculous. Okay.
Why fly when you can saunter through water and jump on heads?
Just saunter.
There's some good ones on the system, man. The Batman game is like an overhead maze type game, almost like Crater Maze. But I think Crater Maze is much better. But the fact that when I saw Batman on the TG-16, and maybe it's like a brawler or something, but no, it's a top-down maze-like game where you're picking up batarangs and fighting off clowns. It's interesting. Like there's a lot of cool stuff.
Licensed games. Let's subvert expectations here.
Yeah. Don't make another brawler. Or a shmup.
We have too many brawlers or shmups. Figure it out.
I did play a game that felt like somewhere between that. It felt kind of like Mega Man or the Batman NES game called Shockman.
I played that. Yeah.
It was not great.
No.
The story was just like over the top anime tropes galore in the first level alone.
Yeah. My issue was your jump is not nearly high enough to dodge things. And like you don't do nearly enough damage with your pea shooter, and like enemies are running back and forth across the screen, and you have to like barely make a jump over their head and shoot them, and you can only get like 1 or 2 shots off.
Did you get to the shmup level?
No, I didn't get that far. There's a shmup. Of course there's a shmup level because it's the TG-16.
Why wouldn't there be one?
It becomes a shmup.
Yeah. From platformer to shmup. That's
not a
all
good
we need
one,
is a first person RPG
does.
and then be complete.
Charlie, what game did you make? This doesn't look like a shmup. Oh, just wait.
I'm busy. Yeah. Don't worry, it's coming.
just wait.
It's coming. Just chill.
Oh, shit, this Tailspin game is still going in the background. He's now underwater in a diver suit.
Anything but flying. Anything but flying.
There's got to be a shmup level. Hold on.
Swear to God, if he touches a plane, Jim, you're done. You are out of here.
Your is a shmup level.
Are numbered.
There's a shmup level?
Is there finally?
I think so. You have Kit on his wingboard flying behind him?
It's Kit Cloud Kicker.
Yeah, it's Kit.
Is he not shooting?
Doing a... No, he's not.
You're dragging Kit around to try and gather the points, apparently.
Yeah.
That's not a shmup. That's a fake shmup.
I think it would be funny if you could just whip him off at the end. Just...
Crack the whip, Baloo!
Is it really not a shmup?
No, it's not a shmup.
Nope.
He's just riding the airfoil.
I do like the little cutscene graphics. Those
the cutscenes are pretty.
There we go.
Pretty decent.
Oh, it is a shmup.
There it is.
It is a shmup.
Finally, late game shmup.
He's not doing anything.
How long to be a shmup? And he's not even. He's just.
You don't even have to shmup. You can just hang low.
He's literally just flying on the bottom. He's just scratching the fucking barrel there.
Can you shoot?
Oh, he had to dodge. He had to dodge.
Bullshit. Buzz the tower, Maverick.
Do you need to be able to shoot to call it a shmup? Is that a requirement? Oh, he can shoot.
Well, he shoots.
He shot a couple times.
Yeah.
Which I think is inconsistent because I'm pretty sure the Sea Duck never had guns. I'm pretty sure they always had to work with whatever cargo they had on hand to.
And they're usually
he's running guns
back
this episode,
kick
real
out
Disney thing to do.
Yeah, they're running guns on this.
Baloo's a gun runner.
To be fair, it doesn't even look like bullets. It looks like oil or something being thrown out the front of the plane.
The warlords of Tailspin are gun running. Jesus.
Fire out the window.
King
Wait,
Louis
does it actually make you play Kit instead of Baloo?
Oh, wow.
It does.
Kit's gonna sneak onto the Iron Vulture. Shit!
What a great game! Look, think of all the modes of gameplay. You have shmup, you have platforming, you have multiple characters. This might be the ultimate game on the TG-16.
Look at how happy Kit looks. He's
just
having a grand old time.
He's just
the greatest day of his life.
Supposed to be here.
He's committing crimes. What's not to like?
What's not to like?
Oh man!
Oh my goodness!
This is great.
There's the level design is so dull. An elevator. You're in Shere Khan's tower.
Now it's your impossible mission. Yeah.
Elevator action.
Yeah.
For all the audio listeners,
elevator.
Make sure you come by YouTube and check out this video so you can laugh with us as we are watching this gameplay of Tailspin.
I think I smell
What is Don Carnage doing at the top of Khan's tower?
Yeah.
Chilling. Stabbing.
Yeah. No,
that's Tailspin.
Oh my goodness.
You just beat Tailspin.
I don't want to spoil the game for folks.
Who's this guy?
Who's this?
It's Anakin.
It's the gun runner. It's the warlord that you're running machine guns to.
It's Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, it's the Force Ghost.
Yeah.
Come back to tell you good luck, Baloo. Good job.
Ghost.
It's the Force Ghost. It's all Disney now, man.
You can tell by the blue aura.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
God, what a game.
All right. Well,
all right. That said,
Star Wars is a Disney thing now, so that's fine.
A lot of great games in the system.
Yeah, I think that
Clearly.
I think that this system was well underrated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even if you don't fly a plane until the end stages of Tailspin.
Right.
You got to earn it. You got to earn those pilot wings, bud.
That's right. No, Pilot Wings wasn't on this system.
The Pilot Wings wasn't on it. Right, correct. I don't want to lead anybody astray here. Well, gentlemen,
man.
I feel like this was a good good discussion about an underrated system for sure. You may not agree with us. You may think that this game was overrated, and you should come to our Discord and tell us why. You should also come to pressb2cancel.com or pressb.org. Was it .org? Is it net still? I don't remember what it is.
I have to renew it. Are we still keeping .org?
We don't have to keep .org because of a flub that I make. We're spending money. That seems silly. Let's just make it a t-shirt and call it good. But you could come by and tell us why you think the TurboGrafx-16 was not an underrated system, or why you think that the Sega Genesis and the Nintendo were far superior systems, and why Bonk shouldn't be up there with the ranks of Sonic the Hedgehog or Mario the Plumber. Mario D. Plumber.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's his full name.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways, is there anything else that we want to discuss, gentlemen, before we do a sign out? Is there anything going on?
Patreon.
Do the shout outs.
I'll get there. I'm waiting for you guys to do your shout outs.
I'm still doing the DJ thing. DJ Spinistar on Twitch.
Fantastic.
I have a new video coming. Should be Sunday. In my I have game number 2, my ranking of Mario platformer games. So that'll be coming out on Sunday. So be sure to check that out. And if you enjoy that kind of videos, leave a comment, please. I'm trying to see if this is worth doing for folks if they enjoy doing it. So if you like the ranking of Mario games, let me know. Yeah.
I may be biased because I love Jake, but I didn't very much enjoy your playthrough of Super Mario Land. That was kind of cool.
Oh yeah,
I enjoyed
that because there's 60 games in this series, so I'm doing this for a while.
Buckle up, baby.
Wolf. Yeah.
When you're done buying your TurboGrafx-16, what do you got going on, buddy?
I don't think I'm buying one. They're $300 or more.
Wow.
Yeah, I'll stick with my Mister, I guess.
Clearly not as underrated as we all thought.
Yeah.
I need to finally sit down and play Rascal. Maybe next week I'll do that. Put it up.
I can't wait to see you play it.
Dude,
Having seen other people play through it, that game is real. Game is real cool.
I have never played it. I know nothing about it, so it's gonna be going in completely mysterious to me.
I think it needs to be blind because it's going to be a lot of fun to watch his reaction to something as bad as this. It'd be a good time. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to what everybody was telling me to get out. We do have a Patreon channel that you guys can come and join. It is not required. It is not necessary. We do appreciate everything that you guys provide, whether it be eyes on the channel or providing us with our Patreon. We do have a couple tiers, and I believe the Circus Charles and the Presbyterian level. Those people that are in those get a shout out at the end of each one of our shows. So, of course, I would like to thank Cthusiast Jeff and Von Beardley for your wonderful patronage to the channel. You guys are magical human beings, and we love you both to death. Thank you so much for your constant support and chatting us up on Discord. And as I said before, please come find us on the Discord. Tell us how we're wrong. Tell us how Sinistar's hat is the coolest hat you've ever seen. Tell us how Jake's gameplay of Mario is by far the best gameplay you'll ever see. And tell us how Wolf's laughter fills your heart with joy as a small child would. I don't think there's anything else. You can come find me over on Twitch, myself, Chardmonk, playing horror games like I normally do. We are still playing Resident Evil 9 Requiem, which is fantastic. We did an episode on it back a couple days ago, so go check that out if you want to. And I think that's all we have left, guys. So if there's nothing else, this has been Press B to cancel. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.